Strange and the spooky, adventurous and loony, they're all together ooky, the Bond family. Their trips are amazing when people come to see 'em. They really are amazing, the Bond family. History, ghost, art. So put on a witch's shawl on, a seat so you can relax on. We're gonna play a call on the Bud family. Okay, here we go. Alright, let's see. We've got She Stole. There's Susan. There's Richmond. There's Crazy. There's Sylvia. There's Distracted. Keep Digging. Northern Face. Sophia. Tammy. Blended. Susan Rambles. Shorty. Railroad. Let's see. Susan's a ghost. Distracted's a ghost. Ooh, catching your Frankenstein. Keep Digging. It looks like you're Hannibal. A&M is a alien. Cruising Nuts. You're some sort of dinosaur. Oh my God, they're all watery. Richard's a nurse. Jamaican is a mummy. Praying is a vampire. Antoinette, I don't know what you are, but you're cute. Ooh, Sophia, who was one, is Jack Skellington. Well, at least a Jack Leonard creature. Hold on, we'll pull up Sophia. Okay, so this is Heart of Sophia. And the description is Charity Channel. I've not seen Phone Risers, but that doesn't mean I just didn't miss them. But as you can see, it's sort of a vlog. She goes live a lot. I got a few shorts and no videos recently. But yeah, so check that out. Like, share, comment. And a Joey Joe's rambling about Bond, James Bond. Happy Halloween! I know it's not Halloween yet, but this is the last premiere before Halloween. We have a little bit of snow. Not as much as some of the areas around us, but we have a little bit of snow. I don't know if you know, but snow before Halloween is never a good sign, especially if it sticks. Luckily, I have lots of backup videos, so if we can't go very far, you guys won't get bored. I might get bored, but you guys won't get bored. Anyway, I'm going to have a Halloween race. Right there, Halloween race. To see who the last October shout out will be. Next one will be in November. Anyway, I don't remember how to pronounce it, but I know it exists. You'll see it in the first live in November. Which I had a thought, now it's gone. Sorry. My brain is apparently not with me yet. Are you guys ready? Here we go. Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, so I'll support you. This shout out is for our friends. Let's see who it is today. Are you ready? Alright, Mr. Historian, tell them something. I would say Halloweeny, but it's not really Halloweeny.
No, just, you might say that when this guy finally checked out of the game of life, he put together one heck of a book on it.
The Book of Life?
The Book of Life. And many, many characters that went with him. He passed away on this date in 2020.
Yeah, the year lots of people died.
Yep, in the Philippines.
The year that shall not be named.
The year shall not be named. The year of many crazy things that happened. And the fact is, he didn't die of COVID, which is kind of interesting. But he lived to a right old age of 90, even number. But he was born in Edinburgh, Scotland, on the 25th of August, 1930, same birthday as my brother. He was named after his paternal grandfather and brought up at the 176 Fountainbridge School, a block which has since been demolished. His mother Euphemia McBain Effie McLean was a cleaning woman and the daughter of Neil McLean and Helen Forbes Ross. She was named after the father's mother, Euphemia McBain, wife of John McLean, and daughter William McBain from Sarris in Fife. Connery's father, Joseph Connery, was a factory worker and a lorry driver. Well, two of the paternal great-grandparents immigrated to Scotland from Wexford, Ireland in the mid-19th century, and his great-grandfather, James Connery, being an Irish traveler. The remainder of the family was of Scottish descent, and his maternal great-grandparents were native Scottish Gaelic speakers from Fife and Uig on Skye. His father was Roman Catholic and the mother was Protestant. Connery had a younger brother, Neil, and was generally referred to in his youth as Tommy. Now, although he was small in primary school, he grew rapidly around the age of 12, reaching his full adult height of 6'2" at 18. Now, Connery was known in his teen years as Big Tam, and he said that he lost his virginity to an adult woman in an ATS uniform at the age of 14. Wow.
Well then.
He was chasing young. Or she was chasing young, one or the other. Had an Irish childhood friend named Seamus, who the two were together. Those who knew them called them both Connery at the middle name Sean, emphasizing the alliteration between the two names, since the Connery preferred to use his middle name. Well, Connery's first job was as a milkman at Edinburgh with St. Cuthbert's Cooperative Society, and in 2009, Connery recalled a conversation in a taxi. He says, "When I took a taxi during a recent Edinburgh Film Festival, the driver was amazed I could put a name to every street as we passed. How come?" he asked. "As a boy, I used to deliver milk around here," he said. "So what do you do now?" That was a rather hard one to answer.
Well, you see.
Yeah, I did everything. In 1946, at the age of 16, Connery would join the Royal Navy, at which time he acquired 2 tattoos. During the official website would say, unlike many tattoos, his were not frivolous. His tattoos would reflect 2 of his lifelong commitments, his family and Scotland. One tattoo is a tribute to his parents and reads, "Mum and Dad." The other is self-explanatory, "Scotland forever." He had trained in Portsmouth in the Naval Gunnery School and was an anti-aircraft crewman. He was later assigned as able seaman to the HMS Formidable. Connery was discharged from the Navy at the age of 19 on medical grounds because of a duodenal ulcer condition that affected most of the males in previous generations of the family.
Well then.
Yeah. Afterwards, he returned to the co-op and worked as a lorry driver, a lifeguard, laborer, an artist model at the Edinburgh College of Art, and, after suggestion by the former Mr. Scotland, Archie Brennan, a coffin polisher. There's your Halloween pick right there.
Well, there's a job we didn't see in our research
list.
for weird jobs.
No. Do you need a coffin polisher?
How do you decide if a coffin is polished?
I want to know where they had that in the school career field.
Right? I don't remember that.
No.
I could be a coffin polisher.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off, yeah. Among other jobs. Now, the modeling earned him 15 shillings an hour. Now, artist Richard DeMarco at the time, a student who painted several early pictures of Connery, described him as very straight, slightly shy, too beautiful for words, a virtual Adonis. Well, Connery would begin bodybuilding at the age of 18, and from 1951 trained heavily with Ellington, a former gym instructor in the British Army. While his official website states he was third in the 1950 Mr. Universe contest, most sources place him in the 1953 competition either third in the junior class or failing to place in the tall men classification. Connery said he was soon deterred from bodybuilding when he found that Americans frequently built him in competitions because of sheer muscle size and, unlike Connery, refused to participate in athletic activity that could make them lose muscle mass. Now, Connery was a keen footballer, having played for Bonnyrigg Rose in his younger days. He was offered a trial with East Fife, and while on tour with South Pacific, Connery played in a football match against the local team that Matt Busby, manager of the Manchester United, happened to be scouting. According to reports, Busby was impressed with his physical prowess and offered Connery a contract worth £25 a week, equivalent to $882 today.
Ooh.
Immediately after the game. Connery said he was tempted to accept, but he recalls, I realized that a top-class footballer could be over the hill by age of 30, and I was already 23. I had decided I wanted to become an actor, and it turned out it was one of my intelligent moves. Well, seeking to supplement his income, Connery helped out backstage at the King's Theatre in late 1951. And during a competition that was held in London in 1953, one of the competitors mentioned the auditions were being held for a production of South Pacific. Connery landed a small part as one of the CB choir boys. By the time of the production reached Edinburgh, he had been given the part of Marine Corporal Hamilton Steeves and was understudying two of the juvenile leads, and his salary was raised from £12 to £14, 10 times a week.
Woo.
The production returned the following year out of popular demand, and Connery was promoted to the featured role of Lieutenant Buzz Adams, which Larry Hagman had portrayed in the West End. Now, while in Edinburgh, Connery was targeted by the Valder Gang, one of the most violent in the city. He was first approached by them in a billiard hall, where he prevented them from stealing his jacket, and is later followed by 6 gang members to a 15-foot-high balcony at the Palais de Danse. There, Connery single-handedly launched an attack against the gang members, grabbing one by the throat and another by the biceps and cracking their heads together. From then on, he was treated with great respect by the gang and gained a reputation as a hard man. Connery first met Michael Caine at a party during the production of South Pacific in 1954, and the two became close friends. Now, during this production at the Opera House, Manchester, over the Christmas period of 1954, Connery developed a serious interest in the theater through American actor Robert Henderson, who lent him copies of the Ibsen works Hedda Gabler, The Wild Duck, and When We Dead Awaken. Sounds like another Halloween one. And later listed works by Proust, Tolstoy, Turgenev, Bernard Shaw, Joyce, and Shakespeare for him to digest. Henderson urged him to take elocution lessons and got him parts at the Maida Vale Theatre in London. He had already begun a film career, having been an extra in Herbert Wilcox's 1954 musical Lilacs in the Spring, along with Errol Flynn and Anna Nagel. Now, although Connery had secured several roles as an extra, he was struggling to make ends meet and was forced to accept a part-time job as a babysitter for journalist Peter Noble and his actress wife Marianne.
Can you imagine how lucky that kid is now? I
had him as a babysitter. Yes.
I don't believe you. I've got proof.
And he was making 10 shillings a night.
Woo!
Wow. He met Hollywood actress Shelley Winters one night at Noble's house, who described Connery as one of the tallest and most charming and masculine Scotsmen she'd ever seen, and later spent many evenings with the Connery brothers drinking beer. Around this time, Connery was residing at TV presenter Lou Gardner's house. Henderson landed Connery a role at £6 a week at the Q Theatre production of Agatha Christie's Witness for the Prosecution, during which he met and became friends with fellow Scot Ian Bannon. The role was followed by Point of Departure and A Witch in Time at Kew, a role as Pentheus opposite Yvonne Mitchell in The Baccarat at Oxford Playhouse, and a role opposite Jill Bennett in Eugene O'Neill's play Anna Christie. During this time at the Oxford Theatre, Connery won a brief part as a boxer in the TV series The Square Ring, before being spotted by Canadian director Alvin Rakoff, who gave him multiple roles in The Condemned, shot on location in Dover and Kent. In 1956, Connery appeared in a theatrical production of Epitaph and played a minor role as a hoodlum in the Ladies of the Manor episode of the BBC television police series Dixon of Dock Green. This was followed by a small television part in Sailor Fortune and the Jack Benny program in a special episode filmed in Europe. Well, in 1957, Connery hired agent Richard Hatton, who got him his first film role as Spike, a minor gangster with a speech impediment in Montgomery Tully's No Road Back, alongside Skip Homier, Paul Carpenter, Patricia Dantian, and Norman Woodland. In April 1957, Rakoff, after being disappointed by Jack Palance, decided to give the young actor his first chance in a leading role, casting Connery as Mountain McClintock in the BBC television production of Requiem for a Heavyweight, which also starred Warren Mitchell and Jacqueline Hall. He then played a rogue lorry driver, Johnny Yates, in Cy Enfield's Hell Drivers, alongside Stanley Baker, Herbert Lom, Peggy Cummins, and Patrick McGowan. Later in 1957, Connery appeared in Terence Young's poorly received MGM action picture Action of the Tiger, opposite Van Johnson, Martine Carroll, Herbert Lom, and Gustave Rojo. The film was shot on location in southern Spain. He also had a minor role in Gerald Thomas's thriller Time Lock in 1957 as the welder, appearing alongside Robert Beatty, Lee Patterson, Betty McDowell, and Vincent Winter. This commenced filming on the 1st of December 1956 at Beaconsfield Studios. Connery would have a major role in the melodrama Another Time, Another Place in 1958 as a British reporter named Mark Trevor caught in a love affair opposite Lana Turner and Barry Sullivan. During filming, Turner's possessive gangster boyfriend, Johnny Soprano, who was visiting from Los Angeles, believed she was having an affair with Connery.
Oops.
Connery and Turner attended West End studios and London restaurants together. Stompano stormed onto the film set and pointed a gun at Connery, only to have Connery disarm him and knock him flat on his back.
Oops.
Stompano was banned from the set. 2 Scotland Yard detectives advised Stompano to leave and escorted him back to the airport, where he boarded a plane back to the United States. Connery later recounted that he had to lie low for a while after receiving threats from men linked to Stompano's boss, Mickey Cohen. Well, in 1959, Connery would lead a leading role in the director Robert Stevenson's Walt Disney Productions film Darby O'Gill and the Little People, alongside Albert Sharp, Janet Munro, and Jimmy O'Day. The film was a tale about a wily Irishman and his battle of wits with the leprechauns. Upon the film's initial release, H.A. Weiler of the New York Times praised the cast, save Connery, who he described as merely tall, dark, and handsome, and thought the film an overpoweringly charming concoction of standard Gaelic tall stories, fantasy, and romance. I love the movie. It's a great movie.
I don't think I've seen it, but that description is really weird.
Very weird. He also had prominent television roles in Rudolph Carter's 1961 productions of Adventure Story and Anna Karina for BBC Television, co-starring with Clara Bloom in the later. Also in 1961, he portrayed the title role of the CBC television film adaptation of Shakespeare's Macbeth, with Australian actress Zoe Caldwell cast as Lady Macbeth. Now, Connery's breakthrough. This is no surprise to anybody who's ever heard of Sean Connery. James Bond.
James Bond.
Now, he was originally reluctant to commit to a film series, but understood that if the franchise succeeded, his film career would greatly benefit. Now, from 1962 until 1967, Connery would play 007 in Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice, the first 5 Bond films produced by Eon Productions. After departing from the role, Connery returned for the 7th film, Diamonds Are Forever, in 1971. Now, Connery would make his final appearance as Bond in Never Say Never Again, a 1983 remake of Thunderball, produced by Jack Schwartzman's Talia film. All 7 films were commercially successful. James Bond, played by Connery, was selected as the 3rd greatest hero in cinema history by the American Film Institute.
Ooh.
Even my dad says, there's Sean Connery, and, they tried to replace him with Roger Moore. Roger Moore was such a joke compared to Sean Connery. Wasn't even the same caliber. Well, the choice of role for James Bond owed a lot to Dana Broccoli, wife of Albert Cubby Broccoli, who was reputed to have been Broccoli. Exactly how it's spelled.
All right, then.
Who is reported to have been instrumental in persuading her husband that Connery was the right man. James Bond creator Ian Fleming originally doubted Connery's casting, saying, "He's not what I envisioned of James Bond's looks, and I'm looking for a Commander Bond, not an overgrown stuntman," adding that Connery, 6'2", muscular, and a Scot, was unrefined. Fleming's girlfriend, Blanche Blackwell, told him that Connery had the requisite sexual charisma, and Fleming changed his mind after the successful Dr. No premiere. He was so impressed, he wrote Connery's heritage into the character. In the 1964 novel, You Only Live Twice, Fleming wrote that Bond's father was Scottish and from Glencoe in the Scottish Highlands. Well, Connery's portrayal of Bond owes much to the stylistic tutelage from director Terence Young, who helped polish him while using his physical grace and presence for the action. Lois Maxwell, who played Miss Moneypenny, related that Terence took Sean under his wing. He even took him to dinner, showed him how to walk, how to talk, even how to eat. The tutoring was successful. Connery received thousands of fan letters a week after Dr. No's opening and became a major sex symbol in film. Now, following the release of Dr. No, the line Bond, James Bond, became a catchphrase in the lexicon of Western popular culture. Film critic Peter Bradshaw writes, "It's the most famous self-introduction from any character in movie history. 3 cool monosyllables, surname first, a little curtly, as befits a formal naval commander, and then, as an afterthought, the first name, followed by the surname again." Connery carried it off with icily disdainful style, in full evening dress with a cigarette hanging from his lips. The introduction was kind of a challenge, or seduction, invariably addressed to the enemy. In the early 1960s, Connery's James Bond was about as dangerous and sexy as he got out on screen. Now, during the filming of Thunderball in '65, Connery's life was in danger in the sequence with the sharks in Emilio Largo's pool.
I'm not surprised. Back then they weren't very safety hazard.
No.
Safety conscience.
Yeah. He had been concerned about this threat when he read the script. Connery insisted that Ken Adam build a special plexiglass partition inside the pool, but this was not a fixed structure, and one of the sharks managed to pass through it. He had to abandon the pool immediately. Yeah, I wonder why.
No!
Yeah. Now, although Bond had made him a star, Connery grew tired of the role and the pressure the franchise put on him, saying, "I'm fed up to here with the whole Bond bit, and I've always hated that name James Bond. I'd like to kill him."
Uh-oh.
Now, Michael Caine said of his situation, "If you were his friend in those early days, you didn't raise the subject of Bond. He was, and is, a much better actor than what he was playing James Bond, but he became synonymous with Bond. He'd be walking down the street and people would say, 'Look, there's James Bond.' It was particularly upsetting to him."
Oh, dear.
Now, while making the Bond films, Connery also starred in a few other films, such as Alfred Hitchcock's Marnie and Sidney Lumet's The Hill, which film critic Peter Bradshaw regards as 2 great non-Bond pictures from the 60s. In Marnie, Connery worked opposite Tippi Hedren. Connery said that he wanted to work with Hitchcock and earn a raise through their contracts. Connery also was shocked that many people at the time were asking to see a script, something he did because he was worried about being typecast as a spy, and he did not want to do a variation of North by Northwest or Notorious. When he was told by Hitchcock's agent that Cary Grant had not asked to see one of the Hitchcock scripts, Connery replied, "I'm not Cary Grant."
Ooh.
Hitchcock and Connery got on well during filming, and Connery said that he was happy with the film with certain reservations. In The Hill, Connery wanted to act in something that wasn't Bond-related, and he used as leverage as a star to feature in it. While the film wasn't a financial success, it was a critical one, debuting at the Cannes Film Festival, winning Best Screenplay. This was the first of 5 films he made with Lumet. Connery considered him to be one of his favorite directors. The respect was mutual, with Lumet saying that Connery's performance in The Hill, "The thing that was apparent to me, and to most directors, was how much talent and ability it takes to play that kind of character who is based on charm and magnetism. It is an equivalent of high comedy, and he did it brilliantly." Now, in the mid-1960s, Connery was playing golf with Scottish industrialist Ian Maxwell Stewart, a connection which led Connery to directing and presenting the documentary film The Bowler and the Bunnet in 1967. This film described the Fairfield experiment, a new approach to industrial relations carried out at the Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Company, Glasgow, during the 60s. The experiment was initiated by Stewart and supported by George Brown, the first secretary in Harold Wilson's cabinet in 1966. The company was facing closure, and Brown agreed to provide £1 million to enable trade unions, the management, and shareholders to try out new ways of industrial management. Well, having played Bond 6 times, Connery's global popularity was such he shared a Golden Globe Henrietta Award with Charles Bronson for World Film Favorite Male in 1972. He appeared in John Huston's The Man Who Would Be King in 1975 opposite Michael Caine, and playing two former British soldiers who set themselves up as kings in Kazakhstan. Both actors regarded it as their favorite film. The same year, he appeared in The Wind and the Lion opposite Candice Bergen, who played Ian Pecaderas, based on the real-life Pecaderas incident, and in 1976 played Robin Hood in Robin and Marion opposite Audrey Hepburn, who played Maid Marian. Now, film critic Robert Ebert, who had praised the double act of Connery and Caine in The Man Who Would Be King, praised Connery's chemistry with Hepburn, writing, "Connery and Hepburn seem to have arrived at a tacit understanding between themselves about their characters. They glow. They really do seem in love." Now, in the 1970s, Connery was part of an ensemble cast of films such as Murder on the Orient Express in 1974 with Vanessa Redgrave and John Gielgud, and he played an Army general in Richard Attenborough's war film A Bridge Too Far. Yes! Co-starring Dirk Bogarde and Laurence Olivier. In 1974, he starred in John Boorman's sci-fi thriller Zardos. Often called one of the weirdest and worst movies ever made, it featured Connery in a scarlet mankini, a revealing costume which generated much controversy for its un-Bond-like appearance. Despite being panned by critics at the time, its film has developed a cult following since its release. In auto-commentary to the film, Boorman relates how Connery would write poetry in his free time, describing him as a man of great depth and intelligence and possessing most extraordinary memory. In 1981, Connery would appear in the film Time Bandits as Evergeddon. The casting choice derives from the joke Michael Palin included in the script, which describes the character as removing his mask and being Sean Connery, or someone of equal but cheaper stature. Oops. When shown the script, Connery was happy to play the supporting role.
That's funny.
In 1981, he portrayed Marshall William T. O'Neill, the science fiction thriller Outland. Another excellent movie.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Outland, to give a quick synopsis, he is a sheriff on a space station that's mining gas from one of the outer planets. The problem is that some of the employees are taking this really strong drug that makes them work like 18 hours straight, and sometimes they kind of crack. Oh. And so he's trying to find a way to crack down on these drugs, but likewise, survive and get back off to go see his family.
Interesting.
Yeah. In 1982, Connery narrated Goal, the official film of the 1982 FIFA World Cup. The same year, he was offered the role of Daddy Warbucks in Annie, going as far as taking voice lessons for the John Huston musical before turning down the part. Connery agreed to reprise Bond as an aging agent in Never Say Never Again, released in 1983. The title, contributed to his wife, refers to an earlier statement that he would never again return to the role. Although the film performed well at the box office, it was plagued with construction problems. Strife between the director and the producer, financial problems, the Fleming Estate's trustees attempting to halt the film, and Connery's wrist being broken by fight choreographer Steven Seagal.
Ooh.
I had no idea. As a result of the negative experiences during filming, Connery became unhappy with the major studios and did not make any films for 2 years. Following the successful European production of The Name of the Rose, for which he won a BAFTA award for Best Actor, Connery's interest in more commercial material was revived. That same year, a supporting role of Highlander showcased his ability to play older mentors to younger leads, which became a recurring role in his later films. He would wind up being in The Untouchables, in Brian De Palma's film in 1987. He would play a hard-nosed Irish-American cop alongside Kevin Costner's Elliot Ness. The film also starred Charles Martin Smith, Patricia Clarkson, Andy Garcia, and Robert De Niro as Al Capone. The film was a critical and box office success, and many critics praised Connery for his performance, including Roger Ebert, who wrote, "The best performance of the movie is Connery. He brings a human element to his character. He seems to have had an existence part of the legend of the Untouchables, and when he's on screen, we can believe briefly that the Prohibition era was inhabited by people, not characters. For his performance, Connery would get a BAFTA nomination and won the Golden Globe Award for the Best Supporting Actor and the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
Nice.
Making quite a bookshelf there. Now, Connery would star in Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, 1989, playing Henry Jones Sr., the title character's father, and again get a BAFTA and Golden Globe nominations. Harrison Ford says Sean Connery's contributions at the writing stage enhanced the film. It was amazing for me how far he got into the script and went after exploiting opportunities for character. His suggestions to George Lucas at the writing stage really gave the character and its picture a lot more complexity and value than it had in the original screenplay. Now, other subsequent box office hits, one of my favorites, The Hunt for Red October, 1990, The Russia House, 1990, The Rock, 1996, Entrapment in 1999. In 1996, he actually voiced a dragon in Dragonheart. He also had a brief cameo as Richard the Lionheart at the end of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Yay! In 1998, he received a BAFTA Fellowship, the Lifetime Achievement Award from the British Academy of Film and Television Acts. I'd say, what took you guys so long?
Right? Where have you been?
Yeah. Now, Connery's later films included several box office and critical disappointments, like First Night, Just Cause, The Avengers, and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. However, he did receive positive reviews for a performance in Finding Forrester in 2000. He also received a Crystal Globe for Outstanding Artistic Contribution to World Cinema. And in 2003, a UK poll conducted by Channel 4, Connery was ranked 8th on their list of the 100 greatest movie stars. The failure of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was especially frustrating to Connery. He sensed the shooting that the production was going off the rails and announced that the director, Stephen Norrington, should be locked up for insanity.
Oh
Connery, yeah, he was not happy with the thing. Now, this is interesting. Connery actually turned down the role of Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings film, saying he did not understand the script. He was reportedly offered $30 million, along with 15% of the worldwide box office receipts, which would have earned him about $450 million.
Wow.
He also turned down the opportunity to appear as Albus Dumbledore in the Harry Potter series and as the architect in the Matrix trilogy. God, those would have been awesome. Now, in 2005, he recorded voiceovers for the From Russia with Love video game with recording producer Terry Manning in the Bahamas and provided his likeness. Connery was happy with the producers, Electronic Arts, and approached him to do the voice for Bond. Now, after he did, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he was pretty much burned out as far as Hollywood went. He basically decided he was going to go into retirement, which is understand. He denied rumors that he would appear in the fourth Indiana Jones film, saying retirement was just too much damned fun. He had a 2010 bronze bust sculpture of Connery that was placed in Tallinn, Estonia, outside the Scottish Club, whose membership includes Estonian Scotophiles and a handful of expatriate Scots. In 2012, Connery briefly came out of retirement to voice the title character in a Scottish animated film, Sir Billy. Connery served as executive producer for the expanded 80-minute version. Now, the sad part of all this, they said he died 31st of October 2020, 90 years old, at his home in the community Layford Cay in Nassau on the Bahamas. Death was announced by family and Eon Productions. Although he did not disclose the cause of death, his son Jason said he had been unwell for some time. A day later, his widow revealed that in his last final years, he had dementia. They said that the cause of death was pneumonia and respiratory failure, and the time of death was listed at 1:30 in the morning. His remains were cremated, and he was scattered around Scotland at undisclosed locations in 2022. Following the announcement of his death, many co-stars and figures from the entertainment industry paid tribute to Connery. Now, this is a who's who, basically. Sam Neill, Nicolas Cage, Robert De Niro, Michael Bay, Tippi Hedren, Alec Baldwin, Hugh Jackman, George Lucas, Shirley Bassey, Kevin Costner, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Barbara Streisand, John Cleese, Jane Seymour, and Harrison Ford, as well as former Bond stars George Lazenby, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and Daniel Craig, including the family of the late former Bond actor Roger Moore. Connery's longtime friend Michael Caine called him a great star, brilliant actor, and wonderful friend. Him and Michael Caine would also star in A Bridge Too Far. James Bond producers Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli released a statement saying Connery had revolutionized the world with his gritty and witty portrayal of the sexy and charismatic secret agent. He is undoubtedly largely responsible for the success film series, and we shall ever be grateful to him. In 2004, a poll of the UK Sunday Herald recognized Connery as the greatest living Scot, and the 2011 Euromillions survey named him Scotland's greatest living national treasure.
Yeah.
So needless to say, he was one heck of a fellow. And interestingly enough, he also was knighted as a Sir. He had an event, if I remember, I think it was in 2000. He actually was seen wearing a kilt, declared to be the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen in his life, partaking in a ceremony in New York at the Times. Tartan Day celebration in D.C. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 2000, wearing a green and black hunting tartan kilt of his mother's MacLean clan.
Interesting. I think I was going to say, I know there's a few people who've been knighted, and I think he's one of the few actors that I can think of that have been.
Yeah. This has been our little touch on the final stop for Mr. Sean Connery. And Bearded Historian wishes you folks a good week. Have a happy Halloween, and we will see you next week.
Or tomorrow. Or someday.
Someday. Bye-bye.